and welcome to a brand new episode of the Five Heart Podcast. My name is Greg Mahachko. Damn glad to be back. Thanks to these two guys. If you're in the video version on YouTube, they're in some location. Thanks to our founder and fearless leader, John Dam Johnston. And as also to horns down himself, Todd Theodore Wolverton.
I kind of feel horns down. I don't know what that means, though, but I kind of feel horns down.
Sounds like you need a pill. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe a blue pill would get me horns up. I don't know.
Yeah.
This episode brought to you by Blue Chew, keeping that horn high no matter where you are or how old. If you're noticing, it is the afternoon when we're recording this. If you're watching on YouTube, we all look like decent, respectable human beings. Collars? I've got cufflinks and not a robe in sight. So naturally, this is going to be our worst show ever.
Probably.
Because it's the robe that really brings us the power. First of all, let me say to you both a sincere thank you because when the twins were born, it's hard to believe 5 months ago, we knew that the schedule was going to become topsy-turvy, and it did. I didn't realize to the extent, that I get home from work and I'll have two screaming children and my wife with her hair a mess, and she'd be like, just take one, I'm going upstairs. So that's how most of my evenings are. So I want to thank you guys for going above and beyond and keeping this thing afloat here in the last few months. We're going to move heaven and earth to make sure that I can be here as often as possible. So I just want to thank you guys. Todd, I know you stepped in and carried a tremendous amount of the load from the hosting standpoint because John refuses to do it. And then there's that. That's the one who I told, just stay in the other room, watch your cartoons. You don't know how to listen, do you? Then go to the other room and watch your cartoons. Yeah, no, he's saying it off camera. So when I do that, it looks like child abuse. So, all right. So I know we talked, or you, it was on the show last week about Oklahoma, Texas, and the turmoil that we are seeing in the Big 12. And it's a pleasant reminder how 10 years after the fact, Nebraska fans should be happy that we're not in that conference anymore. Am I right?
Yeah, I like that video that Annie Agar did that ends with, the Nebraska fan saying something, well, I told you so, because, to no surprise did this happen.
There's a certain level of, I don't necessarily like using this word, but it's a buzzword. It's been very popular, especially online in the last 5 or so years. Toxic. I feel like you swap out a few letters because Texas is toxic. They go in whatever conference they're in. They try to strong arm. Some places they succeed, and then they implode that very conference. And that's not me being sour. I don't give a shit about Texas. Nebraska's in a better position now. I don't miss the Big 12. I'm just any conference that would even consider adding Texas, buyer beware. The only reason they'd be looking at the SEC, or perhaps the SEC would be looking at Texas, is because there's no way that Texas's antics would fly in the Southeast Conference.
Last night I went to dinner to celebrate my future daughter-in-law's 30th birthday. I had a whiskey burger. We went to a place that had a 12-page menu, and only 2 of those pages were food. And
okay, well, that's good because Gordon Ramsay would say that's way too many options.
I don't know how many pages were scotch. So in the past, it would have been my kind of place, but now I'm okay with just having the whiskey burger, 2 quarter-pound ham, patties, which were quite a lot. And I was sitting there, and it suddenly occurred to me that this might be the most fun college football season of our lives. I mean, besides the years of the 90s when Nebraska was winning national titles. Because if you remember our last year in the Big 12, the officials fucked the shit out of us. And I want to watch an entire football season full of Texas getting fucked over and over and fucked and smashed into the ground. If only our Big 12 officiating crews have the balls to fuck those Texas Longhorns and fuck them again. And then when it gets to basketball season, we're all so tired from laughing at Texas, who went 0-8 or 0-9 or how many fucking games they play in this shitbag league. They go into basketball season. All the fucking basketball players have to go into tiny arenas by relative comparison. And their crowds are just like, ah, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck. And the officials are like, yeah, fuck you, fucking Texas fuckers. Fuck you. It's not a block, it's a charge, you cocksuckers. Block charges, you get nothing. And then they go into baseball season, and the entire Big 12 conference with their heckling says, you know what, the gloves are off. You can use all the fucking profanity you want. And then they're just, I don't care. Throw balls at them. Not like strikes of balls, but balls. Just throw at them. Fuck Texas. Fuck them. Fuck them all through this year. It'd be a fun
But
year.
you can't do horns down to them. You can fuck them, but you can't go horns down.
I'm guessing you can do whatever you want. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that they, you know what? And I'm hoping Bob Bowlesby thinks about the fact that my heart rate's way up. I'm thinking that Bob Bowlesby is thinking about the fact that, I don't really feel like handing Oklahoma a Big 12 trophy this year. So I'm not going to. So fuck Oklahoma. Fuck them repeatedly and bash them into the ground. You think you're making the college football playoffs, Lincoln Riley? Kiss my ass. And when they go play Iowa State, they just lose Oklahoma. They just lose to Kansas State. Then they lose to Kansas. Then they lose. Screw them too.
Do you think it's interesting?
Can we be done now because I'm tired.
I'll at least allow you to catch your breath briefly. Do you think that Big 12 officiating, whatever, will rescind their decision to penalize teams for doing the horns down? Because I feel like they've spent an awful lot of time, 20 plus years, protecting Texas, and now that Texas is showing their true colors, which I contend are some of the ugliest damn colors that have ever graced college athletics.
It's calf scours.
Okay.
Have you ever worked on cows?
No,
Yeah.
but they are delicious.
Well, I have, one of the things, in my younger life, I worked for ranchers and I helped, detesticalize calves and branding and vaccinating and all that kind of stuff. And they shit on you a lot. And when they get something called the scours, the color of their shit is exactly the same color as the Texas Longhorns.
It's the same as my. I've changed a few diapers here recently that are the same color as that. So
seems appropriate.
Texas is. It comes at a time, oddly enough, conferences have been only expanding really since about 10 years ago when Nebraska, Colorado, Missouri, Texas A&M all kind of started their departures from the Big 12. The Pac-10 grew, Big 10, SEC, to the point where these other conferences are cannibalizing the Big 12. I feel like the trend should go the other way. I would be more excited to see smaller conferences. Let's perhaps get back to a Big Eight type of, and I had this conversation with a coworker. We talk a lot of college football. He's a Notre Dame fan. Yes, I do hold that against him. But he said, okay, if you could have Nebraska in any conference, what would it be? And I'm springing this on you guys because, and I'm sure my answer would be different from yours. If you have the opportunity maybe to think about it while I jot down or while I tell, the conference that, in my perfect world, Nebraska would be in this conference. So we have Nebraska, Oklahoma, Kansas State, Colorado, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois. I feel like that would be a very good upper Midwest conference that ensures, it brings back some old rivalries. You get Oklahoma, Nebraska back. You get Nebraska, Colorado, and the risky run of having, Ziploc bags of urine thrown on you. You get Iowa. I think Minnesota and Wisconsin could be good rivals. And for me personally, I want Illinois in there because as an Illinois resident, I want the ability to still, drive a very minimal distance and see my beloved Huskers, which I'm contemplating doing in August here in a month. So, if search your brain, think about it. But I'm curious to know where you guys would land if you had a smaller conference that Nebraska could be in if the trend ever reversed.
Well, Greg, I don't disagree a whole lot with your picks. The only thing I would do is I'd swap Iowa State out for Illinois because of my loyalties to Iowa State. But other than that, I would think that, or maybe we add Iowa State along with Illinois and just have one more school.
A Big Nine. I'm all right with the Big
Nine. Big Nine. But, it's become pretty obvious that we're not going to – I truly do not believe it's headed in that direction.
Never.
It's – to me, it looks like the groundwork is being laid for a new division of college football that will be 100% separate from the NCAA. And I understand, the NCAA is not heavily, they don't have as much control of Division I as they do the other levels. But I truly believe that we are seeing the beginning of, the college football conference or whatever the hell they're going to call it. And
NFL Light, that's what they're going to call it.
It's called what?
NFL Light.
NFL Light. Yeah, that would be
good as well. Just go ahead.
And I think it's going to be, a 32-team conference or something like that. And, I've even read about relegation like European soccer. But I don't know where it's – I can't say for sure, but it appears to me we're headed in a direction similar to that.
As someone who's been watching and rewatching Ted Lasso, the idea of relegation is really intriguing.
Can you imagine what a college fan base would be like in this country if their college football team got dropped down, got relegated at the end of a season? I mean, oh my God, I can't imagine what.
See you later, USC.
Okay, yes, you can, because that's what's happening to Kansas State right now.
Well, yeah, you're right. That's what is happening. Kansas State, Iowa State, those schools. You're right, John. That's good.
Yeah. Kansas State, John Morse has run our Kansas State site for a very long time. I don't communicate with him much, as I obviously used to when we were in the Big 12. But, I feel for those guys. They're watching their fan base get annihilated, their school get annihilated, and they really have no options. So I guess if I chose a conference, I think I'd include Kansas State because I love to hate them, and I'd include Iowa State because they're easy to drive to. And I like the Big Ten. I do. I like the Big Ten conference. I like the fact that Rutgers is in our conference because we can make fun of them. And they're in New Jersey, and I've never been to New Jersey. I've been to Maryland though, and crab cakes are really unbelievably good. And Those two schools won't exist after climate change starts in the next 3 years and the East Coast gets buried by water. So they're going to go away anyway. So
Relegated by Mother Nature.
Yeah, just take them out of the conference anyway. I think Maryland and Rutgers are nice, but they're done as states or whatever they are.
So it brings to mind another. I don't even want to call it a rumor. I don't even want to call it like a hearsay. It's just ridiculous nonsense that circulates from an idiot on Twitter who I'm not even going to mention his name. But he said, text from a source, Ohio State, talking with officials from the ACC. It's not ever going to happen. And I wish people would stop propagating such ridiculous dirt sheet information.
The problem with these people is they have no concept of the Big Ten.
No.
And the problem with them is when they look at the Big Ten, they look at the SEC, and they look at the Pac-12, all they see is sports. But when you look at the Big Ten Conference, I tweeted the other day that all of the rumors about Ohio State going to the SEC they're completely off base for one big reason. And that's because the academics, the people who are in academics at the Big Ten, at the Ohio State, would never tolerate their university being infected with that much dumb. When you add up all of the money that goes into athletics, and compare that to all the money that goes into research grants and the amount of money and the amount of sheer power that's in the academic sides of all these Big Ten universities, the athletics is a kind of an afterthought. It's not a complete afterthought, but the presidents that run these universities don't give a shit as much as you think. They have to at Nebraska because they wake up and their card be on fire. At Ohio State, the athletic department serves as the tip of the spear in recruiting students. Okay? Now, do you think they really want to join the SEC and recruit stupid students? Because that's who mostly goes to those universities. Maybe not places like Georgia, and Florida University might be a little bit above, but who goes to Alabama to cure cancer? Fucking nobody. That's who. So the Ohio State's going to join the SEC. No, they're not, because their academic people would kill them.
But John, by that logic, how long does the Big Ten put up with the University of Nebraska since they're no longer an AAU school?
Everybody knows we have the University of Nebraska Medical Center is now one of the top places in the world for coronavirus research. So
yeah, okay, I get it.
Everybody knows that that's bullshit. And everybody also knows that when you say academics in the University of Nebraska, it wouldn't matter if we cured cancer, came up with anti-gravity machines, came up with a new form of energy that didn't actually poop waste. Everybody would still look at us and say, you're a bunch of hicks. There's nothing we're ever going to do to get over that. So, if I was in the same room, I'd have probably just picked up a folding chair and a railroad spike out of my shorts and just wrestling school attacked your ass.
Is that a railroad spike in your shorts, or are you just happy to see Greg?
Yeah, wow.
He's keeping that horn high.
We can be classier in the afternoon than we are at night. Woo!
I can do it. Everybody's seen it. I've only got one child at home, and he's in the other room, hopefully preoccupied by destruction or mayhem. It's like Beetlejuice. I said his name, and here we are. So hold on.
Well, Todd, well, he's doing that. Let's make. Oh, it's too quick.
I had to learn about Plant Guy. He was like Swamp Thing, except a kid.
Is that what they're teaching in schools these days?
No, it's
vegetarianism.
No, you'd have to get my son to eat vegetables, and you'd have better luck plucking my eyes out. And I'll put up a fight. I'm just saying. So we are. This is the last 5-Heart episode of July. We are coming into. really fall camp. It's just about to start. I don't know how many days away. It's got to be soon because the first football game tomorrow. Tomorrow the 30th or tomorrow the 31st, because this episode will drop on the 30th. Ted.
Well,
Todd.
as we record this evening is Fan Appreciation Night.
Okay. Well, hopefully it's not a billion degrees.
Scott Frost had his presser today. Yesterday.
I got kids, all right? I can't.
We're just trying to help you along, Greg. We're just trying to.
All right. So, fall camp has started.
Yes.
What are some of the... we asked this question, John, I think it was you, during Big Ten Media Days last week, asked, what are the storylines that, our Facebook fans and commenters would be most interested in. And they said, we don't care about Big Ten Media Days. We just want wins. So to that end, who are we following, and what storylines are of peak interest for us in the month of August heading into that first game against Burt in Illinois?
Who is our starting running back?
Not Greg Mahochka, I can tell you that much.
No, it's not Todd or me either.
No.
I think that's the biggest thing. And Scott Frost said in his presser today, he wants to settle the position battles earlier in camp rather than later, so everybody is prepared to go, and the number ones can all work against each other and set up big smashing battles so they're prepared to kick the shit out of their opponents this year, which they apparently weren't prepared before. So,
since I have the opportunity to be a part of the conversation this week, when we look back at Big Ten Media Days, did we feel? I know that Scott Frost is excited, but you guys, personally, or you guys as, of course, founder and writer for Coordination, or just fans, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's your excitement level for the football season? I mean, I know it always has, the off season. Okay, we're calm in May and June, July. I mean, are you starting to feel that excitement ramp up, that enthusiasm a little bit? I don't want to say hype, but where are you at in regards, emotionally to this upcoming football season? Todd?
I'm excited. I'm ready to go. But I'm that way every fall. And, I'm not one of these guys that, is going to base my emotions, my level of excitement about, whatever the prognosticators are saying about Nebraska. I'm pumped for kickoff. I'm ready to see him play Illinois. And I just want to watch football. I want to get the season going. I'm not going to sit there and feel any less than if, the team was coming in off of a 10-2 season and a bowl victory, and everybody returning, okay, it's a new football season. It's football. Let's get excited and let's play.
John?
It's fall camp time. Start drinking the Kool-Aid, sons of bitches. This is it. Either get on the boat or get off, because we're taking off the shore, going on a fantastic journey. That journey may go out it might go out 20 yards from shore and sink the moment it hits the Illinois game. God help us. But I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready, because it's going to be an exciting college football season. I just told you a part of what I'm interested in watching, happen this year. But I think this is Frost's most complete team. He seems to have everybody coming together. Of course, we said that before, but let's go. Let's get yeah.
So for me, if you had asked me this, a month ago, I'd have been a little bit more on the fence. In fact, a buddy of mine who I've been to a couple of Nebraska-Illinois games in Champaign with, he said, "Hey man, August 28th, are you thinking about going?" And at that time, I didn't really have an answer. I'll be out of town in September. I don't like leaving my wife home, with 3 kids and 2 of them being infants, for extended periods of time. So I didn't have an answer. I said, probably not. I'll probably just watch it. His concern is Champaign at the end of August. It might be 110 degrees before you step in the stadium. I said, that's a fair concern as well. The more I got thinking about it, I asked my wife, I said, just this past week, so earlier this week, I guess, as this drops on Friday, I said, would you be interested? I'll lay out a few scenarios. Either she and I go, because we've been before, the 2 of us. I said, the 2 of us and our oldest go, or I take the oldest. I don't think he and I would survive the last one. I think, I took him right before COVID hit. We went to the first home game for the St. Louis Battlehawks, the XFL. And at halftime, he was 4 at the time, but still, he's like, I'm ready to go home. So can't do that at a Husker game because I won't allow it. You'll sit there and you'll sleep on the bench or whatever. I don't care. Wear some sunscreen. Put a towel over your face, but we're not leaving. So we're laying out some scenarios. We're really thinking it over. The more I think about football, this was the year that, before COVID and before, we had twins, we were seriously thinking about going to Ireland to watch this game. Because we've always wanted to go to Ireland. And, I went to Los Angeles and San Diego and saw Nebraska lose to UCLA a few years ago. So why not put another vacation around a Husker football game? So the every day that passes, I get, to borrow one of Haas's words, incrementally more excited for so by the time August 28th arrives, whether I'm in Champaign or in my own home, I'm going to be peak level. And I'm going to be ready to go. The boys already have Husker onesies. My 5-year-old, we need to get him a Husker shirt that fits. But we're bleeding Husker red. It was funny when the twins were. I don't think I put this on social media, but I think I shared it in the Slack chat room. When the twins were born and they were itty bitty and in the hospital still, and I wrapped them up in some Husker blankets, and I think I told the Slack group, or maybe on my own Facebook page, Husker born and Husker bred, and when I die, I'll be Husker dead. So that's the mentality of our house now. And so as I mentioned, I've rambled and I apologize, but the closer we get to kickoff on August 28th, the more excited that I am. And to both of your points, this might be, and certainly hope it is, the best team that Scott Frost has had here in Lincoln. I think it's another one of those, the off season being what it was, some addition by subtraction. And then you watch some of those studs from the spring game, and some of the true freshmen coming in, and you're like, we've got some talent. We've got some nice transfers. We've got, the kid from, all right, I think they're all young men, so I apologize for my, word selection, but the kid who came up from D2 from Montana, and the transfer from Ohio State. I mean, the Marquez from USC.
Yeah.
So we're finding guys who want to play football, and hopefully we get their very best, and everybody stays healthy. I think if this team, we haven't had a Scott Frost football season in Lincoln where the key players have stayed healthy, where all of them had stayed healthy. So if we can get through the regular season healthy, I really do like where we're going to be at the end of November. All we got to do is the cream rises to the top, right? And so let's get to Frost's point from that presser. Let's get these number ones, determined early and get that rhythm built up, because you don't want to have something happen on the 26th of August and you have to, put somebody else in, and then there's that rhythm off. Maybe it's a handoff or receivers a step slower than whoever might have been. So, let's just keep building. You gotta get answers to these questions early though, Frost. Come on now, bud.
Yeah, so who's going to start at running back, Todd?
Well, okay, so I agree. I don't think it's going to be Marquise Stepp. He may end up being the top running back, but I think it's going to be either Marvin Scott or Gabe Ervin. I think it's going to be one of those two guys. Marvin Scott, am I right? Marvin, that's his first name, isn't it? Okay. I think he's a solid. The third. Okay. I think he's a solid player. And if I recall, he's pretty good coming out of the backfield and catching passes and that kind of thing. Because the reason I think he's going to be the starter is because the first play of the season is going to be a horizontal pass to the sideline to the running back. And so you're going to need to have a running back that can catch the ball. So in my mind, it's whatever running back is the best out of the backfield catching passes, because it's going to be that pass to the sideline.
I'm going to step in real quick because it's important to note that it was the Illinois game last season where they opened up with that swinging gate pass.
They won't expect us to do it again.
After the first time that it failed last season in the first or second game, nobody should have expected to see it again because they've never done it again. Yet here we are. So, no, it's not going to be a swinging gate pass. Gabe Ervin, there's a huge upside to Ervin. And going back to the spring game, I mean, it's hard to believe that it's been 4 months back now. I guess it was May, whatever. But two of the more exciting players that we saw, in the backfield were Ervin and Jacques Yant. I mean, a couple of true freshmen. So two different styles of running, but you've got a little bit of thunder and lightning in those two, and certainly if you're not, if they're not on the field this year, where I think they will be, you are setting, the foundation for them to come in and really make a difference in years 2 and 3.
Greg, I think, one of the things, and as you were talking earlier, I think they got to figure out who their top running back is. And, you mentioned staying healthy. I think that there's enough depth across the board on this football team that they can absorb, some injuries, not a lot, but they could absorb some injuries, except for one position, and that is at quarterback. Because, John has made it very clear in previous conversations, one of his biggest worries is who is that backup quarterback. So if Adrian Martinez can stay healthy, but more importantly, he's not going to start all 12 games. I just don't think he's going to be able to do that. So it's the development of that second quarterback. And in my mind, I don't know who the backup's going to be, but one of those guys is going to have to rise up to the top.
Logan Smothers, just because he's been around. And Heinrich Harburg looks like he could be a player, but he's raw. And hopefully neither of these guys. You know what? I hope we see these guys in the Illinois game, like after the first series of the third quarter, because Illinois is so downtrodden, beat to shit.
Because we're up 69-3.
Okay, we'll call the dogs off because it's 58-2. We took a safety in the last play of the second half just to make you feel like you aren't going to get skunked, you fucks. And then one of those guys come in. But yeah, quarterback is. I don't understand why they didn't maybe try to pick up a transfer, but apparently they feel comfortable with having guys who have never taken a snap in an actually college football game.
So, according to Huskers.com, Adrian Martinez and Logan Smothers are both listed at 6'2". But again, if I remember correctly from that spring game, Logan Smothers looked at the very best 5'2".
5'2"?
He didn't look the same size as Adrian.
He doesn't look. No, he doesn't.
There's no Logan Smothers. I think And again, we all know that the backup quarterback's the most popular player on the football roster, right? Regardless of what team you're rooting for. And I think maybe that's where Husker fans are so frustrated right now is we don't know who the backup is. We don't know who to cheer for.
I think the weird thing is when Luke McCaffrey came in, we're all like, oh, he's going to be the savior. He's a McCaffrey. Blah, 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 blah. And then we get Logan Smothers, who seems like a pretty good athlete and a pretty good football player. And it's like if you said Logan Smothers, everybody would go like, oh, whatever.
I was very high on Logan Smothers. And Logan Smothers came to Lincoln, highly sought after. He had a little bit hype, as a kid say, a little bit of speck on his name, right? It's probably not what the kids say. I apologize to all the kids out there. If clearly we want Adrian, he's our best chance, and we want him to stay healthy because it'd be nice to have your starting QB healthy. Other teams do, but I don't know why we can't. And we don't have Colorado on the schedule this year to, twist the knee or anything like that. So if we can keep Adrian healthy, that's clearly the desired outcome for the season. Logan Smothers, if he has to step in, I'm confident that he'll hold his own, and if he's just a placeholder for one of the other guys to get in and get ready, then, that's what he is. But understanding your role, and I think that's what Luke McCaffrey found is maybe he was told he'll come in and he'll be a quarterback. Clearly, after trying quarterback, his skills would have been best utilized elsewhere. So he went to Louisville. There were greener pastures, and he was there for half a cup of coffee, and then he transferred out again. I mean, it's unreal, how the little bit of time he spent in Eastern Kentucky before going to Rice. If you want to be a quarterback, great, but don't have high expectations of doing it with your skill level at a top tier D1 team. Because I know Nebraska is not top tier anymore. Louisville's not really there, but we'll say D1. I don't think Rice is D1, or if they are, they're not competing for anything. Sorry, Owls. So, but yeah, getting back to preseason, really the backfield, I think, is where we have the most question. Quarterback, running back, offensive line. I think again they're a team. They're a unit that got better. We saw how well they played together in that final game last year, and they've been working. They've been stacking up weight, and this is where Haas would come in and say, it's functional weight, functional strength that they're making. Let me spit out my dip. Ding.
Wow.
Love you, Haas. Well, he does. He knows it. He's a skull man, I think. Copenhagen. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So I'm really excited about the offense and defense. Oddly enough, I don't have many concerns. I think this is going to be one of the best defenses we've had overall. I mean, a ton of veteran leadership. I mean, we have 3/4 of the defensive secondary coming back, and the fourth one could be that former 5-star recruit to Ohio State. It's not guaranteed. And I was reading an article somewhere that he knows it too. Deontay Williams, who helped, was that kind of connection to get him to Lincoln. It's like, you're gonna have to fight. There are a lot of hungry guys that want to be that fourth spot in the secondary. The linebacking core should be, you've got Will Honus and a JoJo Doman. You've got a lot of talent there, and it's just up to the coaching staff to put them in the best position.
Honus is out for a while.
Okay, thank you.
What you have is Luke Reimer.
Hey, he was fine. I mean,
what you do not have? You know what you do not have, Greg?
Enough sleep.
Enough sleep. Yes, I understand that myself. But we don't have a pass rusher.
We don't ever have a pass rusher.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we have one this year again either. And I really, what are they going to do to come up with you kind of have to generate some pass rush somehow.
I'll be honest though. I was impressed by at the end when we saw him last season for Darius Payne. I think he could be that guy that's got that motor to get a little pressure on the QB. But you're right, and Ben Stilley showed tremendous. Thank you, Todd. Showed tremendous improvement last year, and I think people forget that Ben Stilley at this point is like as old as me. He's been on campus for 20 years, getting better every day. It's right there in the prayer, day by day, getting better and better. So he's a grown man in the middle of that defensive line, and I think that he's going to show out. I think Ben Stilley's going to have the type of season that's going to get him drafted.
I guess there's some uncertainty, with some of the new players that have coming in, the new guys that they project to be playing meaningful minutes on defense. But if, JoJo Domann stays healthy, I think that defense is going to find ways to free him up to get to the quarterback. I think that's where the pressure is going to come from. Casey Rogers, he seems to be pretty athletic too. So maybe that is another place where they're going to get some kind of heat on the quarterback. But you're right. There has to be a pass rush. That's something, geez, I don't remember who the last good Nebraska pass rusher was, Ndamukong Suh. Randy Gregory. Those two guys are the ones that stand out in my mind. And it's a long time coming.
It's been what? Did Randy Gregory even play in the Big Ten? I mean, has it been that long?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen.
You
anything
think
else?
They could pay somebody to come to school to be a pass rusher? Anything else? Omar Manning, is he actually going to contribute on the field this year?
Yes.
Okay.
I really hope so. I really hope he does.
Special teams. Is Daniel Cerny going to be the Aussie punter that when you say Aussie punter and we all go, oh, God, an Aussie punter, and he bams the ball? If Nebraska is playing Iowa at the end of the year and we're on our own 3-yard line and we can't get out of there, is Daniel Cerny going to be the guy that comes out and mashes off an Australian 75-yard punt to tell Kirk Ferentz to kiss his ass?
No. And I'll tell you why, for those Aussie-style punts. the Aussie-style punts, they tend to run a little to the side, right? And then they kick the ball. It really just depends on the protection up front at that point. And depending, I could see that one going bad.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I hope one of the 359 kickers they have on campus can kick the ball out of the end zone.
It'd be nice.
I hope.
Thomas Fedone is out until he might be available late in the season. And remember that they can play in 4 games and still maintain a red shirt now. So, maybe Thomas, those 4 games at the end of the season are going to be what Nebraska, given that we don't lose the Illinois game and everybody doesn't abandon ship as it's sinking, those 4 games at the last end of the season. I mean, Thomas Fedone could come in and go, him and Austin Allen and that Vokalek kid could all join together and we'd beat Stanford for a couple games.
I have a question.
Yes.
So does the bowl game that Nebraska will get to, does that count as one of the 4?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure. All right. So really 3 games at the end of the regular season and then the bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, you're going to have to be really careful there because when you go into the college football playoff, do you want to preserve those red shirts or not? That's how excited I am for fucking football season.
I love it. I love it. I love that you took my what if and escalated it.
Yeah, well, you know what? August is the month that they just call it the month of delusion for me. And I'm fine with it. And people all go, oh, well, you're out of your mind. Yes, I am. Every day I got to hear my son, my fucking youngest son, the gopher, come up and say shit like, boy, you going to be happy in September? Hey, is anybody clapping? Is that distracting for you, Dad? You fucking shit ass. I hope we beat the living shit out of Minnesota like some small children. Like those, you ever go online just to make yourself feel better as a human and watch those mascot games against little kids that are playing football? Just watch those YouTube videos of the mascots running over fifth graders. That's what I want against Minnesota. I want weeping. I want weeping Gopher fans. That's what I want.
And the best part is you'll be there probably taking pictures of it when it happens. And then we'll have
Look, there's one with blood coming out of his eyes instead of tears. That fucker's going on the front page.
That, and we'll have weeping Gopher fans lining up on the shelf behind John moving forward. All right, gentlemen, it's been a blast. Thank you so much for allowing me to come back and be part of this week's show. Hopefully, more Five Heart podcasts going forward. Let's do our thank yous and our gratitudes. Thank you to Todd Wolverton, and thank you to John Dam Johnston for joining this episode. I'm Greg Mahachko, reminding you this week that Five Heart is all the heart you need. John!
Go Big Red! Were you supposed to follow it up with Go Big Red? Come on, motherfuckers.
I don't have a catchphrase.
No, see, that's when you're at a game and some guy off by himself yells, Go Big Red, then you...
Oh! Well, then let's do it again.
All right. Hey,
wait,
for Todd Wolverton, for John Dam Johnston, I'm Greg Mahachko, reminding you this week and every week that Five Heart is all the heart you need. John?
Go Big Red!
Go Big Red!
Oh my God, it only... Wait.
Hey, I got one for you guys. I learned this at our conference today.
First?
I don't care. You can record it. You can record it. I learned this at the conference today, that one of the keynote speakers, she was really dynamic and had everybody up jumping around. And it goes a little bit like this. This is a perfect song for Nebraska. First, you form the corn. Next, you pick the corn. That doesn't make any sense, though. Then you husk the corn. And then you pop the corn.
I'm so glad.
What the hell am I watching here? What is going on?
I am so glad that is going in the show.